Hi everybody, Elizabeth here from Petals and Parchment. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, thank you so much for joining me again today. I want to show you my tag book that I made. It's called the Grungy Christmas Flip-Flop Tag Journal, and it's complete, and I would like to show you how to make this today. This is the cover. We've got Santa on the front, and I do have a video showing you how to construct the journal. I'll put a link in the description below. But I wanted to show you what we'll be making today. Hopefully you'll come along with me and make this special project. Okay, so first you want to start off by making some snippet strips. So I started off with some scrap cardstock. I end up with a lot of these offcut pieces when I'm printing digitals, and so I like to save all of them, and you can just make snippet strips out of them. This is the same as doing a snippet roll, except just a shorter piece. So what I've done is I've started just tearing off paper here. I collected a bunch of bits and pieces that I thought would look good on this project, and just simply tearing some off, and whatever I think would look good on it. Just the messier the better. Little strips, big strips, it doesn't matter. I want to throw some brown in there, and some different fabric pieces and lace would look good. And then let me just move these out of the way. That's what we're going to end up with. And I just had all three next to each other, blank pieces, and I just started doing this as I was tearing, just kind of laying them on there to see if I had enough of each type that I wanted. Sort of like this. Using some more of the grungy stuff that we used for the tab binding in the last video. I'll link that down below if you haven't had a chance to see that one yet. And that's it, really, just making sure that I have a bunch of small pieces here. I already did a whole bunch of them, so I don't need to cut that many more. But now the fun part is to start sticking them down, and I'm just using Fabri-Tac. You'll probably hear me talk about Fabri-Tac a lot if you come back to this channel. It's my favorite glue. You could use glue stick for this. You don't really need it to adhere super well, because we are going to run it through the sewing machine. But if you don't have a sewing machine or don't want to sew, then I would recommend using your favorite glue to stick the pieces down entirely. And I try really hard not to pay attention to where I'm sticking them, because I feel like I could get really caught up in where I'm putting everything. So I consciously try to get through it as quickly as possible and not think about it. I just let the pieces fall where they may, sort of. Once it gets to the top layers, I'm a little bit more deliberate, but the bottom ones, I try to just put them down, because if I mess around with it too much, we would be here all day. So this is the fun part, and this is also kind of a great way to use up all those little tiny scrap pieces that we all have so much of. I really like the gold in this. And it doesn't matter that it has frayed edges, it actually adds to the interest of the finished piece if you have wonky edges. I just try not to put the same color next to itself. That's basically the only rule that I follow, is to just sort of mix it up a little bit. And just make sure that you're having fun. And I also like to turn some horizontally and some vertically. That's also a tip I can think of. I really love paper that has stuff in it. This one, I don't know, these are fibers mixed in the paper when it was made. I didn't make it. I haven't made paper since elementary school, but whenever I see it, especially at garage sales or craft sales, I pick some up because I cannot get enough of it. This one has tinsel in it, which is awesome. Do they even make tinsel anymore? I was just wondering that today while I was playing with this project. I don't see it in the stores, but I haven't been looking for it. I'm going to definitely check after Christmas sales to see if there's tinsel on the shelves. I could really use some in these projects. I never liked it growing up. My mom had so much tinsel on the tree, and it was always so difficult to get on and off. We had one of those trees that had a base, and then all the arms had like color coding, and you had to build the tree and then put lights on it and then decorate it and then put tinsel. It was quite an ordeal back in the day. That was a long time ago. And keep all the stringy bits too. I've tore up some doily here. This is quite messy, by the way. I've had glue fingers all day playing with this. I do not like glue fingers, but I do it for you guys. Does anybody else hate glue fingers? Even as a child, when I was making mud pies, I was very neat and organized about it. I don't remember ever getting particularly dirty while I was playing. Now I get ink fingers and glue fingers, glitter fingers, string fingers. This is a messy craft. That's okay, I love it. Trying to get some of this string off my glue bottle and use the glue that was stuck to the end of the glue bottle here. And like I said, no piece of fabric is too small. It looks pretty messy now, but it comes together quite nicely in the end, I'd say. This is just going to be one element in our tag book. Sort of the background for our Santa Claus photos of reindeer. This is where I start getting a little bit more deliberate about where I'm placing things. Can you still see? Okay, good. Sometimes I forget to check the camera and make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see a little better today. I got a new light. It was a little dark in here before. One step at a time, right? Never in a million years did I think I would be on YouTube. But I've just got to show you guys how to use these digitals. It's so much fun. Okay. Now I'm just going to, once again, try to clean this off a little bit. And place some lace on here. That's my favorite part. Oh, these glue fingers are making everything difficult. There we go. Definitely want some of this. I don't tend to plan things out. I was trying to think of my style. I don't really plan things out. I work pretty intuitively. It wasn't always that way. I think we all start out imitating the artists that we love and admire, and I'm no different. I was watching all of our favorites on YouTube for many years now, trying out different things, and now I'm finally to the point where I'm starting to make things my way. I still gain a lot of inspiration from the community though. It's hard not to. There's so many amazing paper artists doing this that it's so much fun to keep track of what everybody's doing. I wish there was more time in the day because there's so many that I follow, but I don't get to see every single video that they release. I don't get a comment on every post that they make in their groups and channels, and keeping up with my own is tricky, so I try to watch at least a couple videos every week from all of our favorites and get re-inspired, because when you lose your mojo, that's no fun. It's kind of in a slump and got away from paper crafting, and I was just doing the digitals and doing the collaboration, the Sugar Plum Stories collaboration recently, and haven't actually been paper crafting much. I've just been sort of doing the admin side of things, and it just feels really good to get back in here and play with the paper, because at the end of the day, that's what my passion is, playing with paper, and also seeing what you do with the papers. That's another passion of mine. I love watching everyone's creativity. This one's really tricky to lay down. Okay, so here we go. We've got this. Now, what I did last time, I just went and turned it over, and you could wait until you sew it and everything's dry to do this, but I'll do it now. There we go. Just trim it up a little bit. I'm going to clean up my scissors and clean up my mess, and I'm going to sew these, what I'm going to do is sew around the edge, and then I'm just going to do some wonky sewing all the way through to sort of make sure I tack down everything that's on there so that it won't come up. And after I do that, I'll be back. See you soon. Okay, I'm back. I've sewed around them and I think they turned out pretty nice. As you can see, I did some wonky stitching and stitches all the way around the outside, like I said. And this one I did kind of a fancy little snowflake stitch on my sewing machine. And this is the one that we did together. So I think it looks pretty good. And we're going to set these aside and we'll use them a little bit later. But first, I'd like to show you my idea for my cover. Let me zoom you in a little bit closer here. There we go. Okay, so this is the tag book that we made in the last video, and this has the tab binding method. And like I said, you can find that video in the description if you didn't see it already. And I'm going to show you some of the elements that I've decided to decorate my cover with. So I chose this photo of Santa from the kit, and I just sewed around a simple stitch there. And I also got some corrugated cardboard that I added a little bit of gesso to make it a little bit white and grungy. I've got probably one of my favorite discoveries is a white netting from some fruit or vegetables. I usually only ever see this in crazy colors like purple or green or orange, and this was the first time I saw some that was white. Come to think of it, it might have even been on a children's toy that my daughter received. And then I've got these adorable little holly berries, and they just have a little, I don't know what you call this in the flower arrangement industry, but it's got sort of like a little pick on the back that's got some floral tape around it. And I don't know where these came from. I picked them up at a garage sale. There was a woman getting rid of her crafting supplies, and I saw this and had to have it. So I got one of those. And then in the kit there's some faux hardware, and this one, if you can see, is glossy. I used some Mod Podge Dimensional Magic on that, and what I did was I cut out the element, and then I just used a razor blade to cut a thin slit in the middle, and then I used my detailing scissors to cut the hole in the middle, and then I used this tiny hole punch here to cut the little holes. You could also use an awl for those holes. And then while I was putting the Mod Podge on, I made sure to use a pokey tool in the hole so that it wouldn't get covered up, and it also works as a handle while you're doing that, and then just allowed it to dry for 24 hours. So these are the elements that I have. So here's what I was thinking. I'm going to take my cover and put down this corrugated cardboard, and that's going to lift it up and give it some dimension. And then I'm going to take this netting here and place it there, and Santa is going to come right here. Okay, I also had stamped these little fabric snips from the same cloth that I used for the binding. I just stamped December 25th on it, and so I'm going to put that here, and then I'm going to put the keyhole right here and the holly up here, as you can see. So the first step that I want to do is take my tiny hole punch Might be too thick here. I'm going to squish it down. There we go. And punch a hole in the top corner. I don't know if you can see that. And I'm going to just slide my little holly stick through that hole like so. And then I'm just going to get a piece of tape and tape that down just so that it doesn't come out or wiggle around. I'm going to just put one more piece the other way. All right. And then I'm just going to glue that down on my cover here. Okay. Center that up right there. Probably gonna open it here and push on it from the other side too. Let's see, so I'm going to temporarily lift these holly leaves up so that I can slide my netting underneath here. And push those back down. Okay, so now we're just going to glue Santa on the cover here. One peeking out from under that holly as well, and I kind of want to leave some space for my sentiment, which is my December 25th down here on the corner. So trying to work fast here. Put this kind of peeking like that. And last but not least, my faux hardware. I'm all out of grungy brads, so I'm going to use gold because I do have some gold elements throughout this project. Going to have to get some more grungy brads though. There we go. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. Okay, what do we think? I think that looks pretty great. I'm very pleased with that. I think I'm going to trim this just a hair because I meant to have it up further here. There we go. And a little at an angle just for some interest. Okay. There we go. That's my cover sorted. Kind of bend this holly into the angle that I want it. There we go. There we go. Very pleased with that. So we'll continue decorating here. Move on to the next page. I did want to show you, it is called the Grungy Flip-Flop Christmas Tag book after all. So before we get started, I just did want to show you that you could make a flip-flop journal using a tab method, but attaching them side to side instead of on top of each other, and then turn it into a flip-flop journal like this. So it would be like a never-ending journal if you wanted to do it this way. That's another way that you could put yours together. It was quite easy. I just used the same grunged up fabric that I used in the last video, and I simply laid them side by side, and I left a small space in between when I glued them down together. And once they were glued, I did end up using some pins to kind of keep this closed and tight. What are those called? The clips that we hold things together with. So I clipped that to let it dry that way. Another thing that I created is this miniature composition notebook, and I'm going to put a gift card in here for my daughter's teacher. So I just used a simple tag to cut it to the size of the covers, and then I also used one of the leftover pieces of the tag to create pockets for the inside. I added a Christmas tree that I cut out with one of the tags so everything matches. Little stamps throughout. There's a little gingerbread man. This is actually an antique dictionary page that says Christmas and Christmas tree, and I used that, and then just some fabric like paper and the Christmas tree. I just did some decorative edging. So this is a good way to add decoration to a page without a bunch of bulk. I did include a pocket in the middle, and then I used a brad to attach some journaling cards. I think there's a few more stamps in here. Oh, another Christmas tree. Another tree there. And a stocking that says holiday cheer. So that came out pretty cute. That's another alternative that you can use the kit for. I like to give practical gifts that someone can enjoy some use with. So those are just some more ideas. And let's see what else. I have this reindeer moss that might come in handy, I think, while decorating the journal. And then I came across this old packaging that I've saved for I don't know how many years. It has snowflakes on it, so I'm going to try to use that in this project. I've got a bunch of Christmas stamps and cute little mittens. I've got some stickers that I might use and some stencils with some texture paste. I have a few regular stamps as well, and then there's some bows that come in the kit, so I did cut those out, and then I used some stickles on some of them, and I'm not too fond of how the red ones turned out. You can't see the lines of the bows through them, but I really do like how the clear stickles came out. And they also look nice just on their own. So the first thing I thought for the inside cover is to make a little pocket, and then I stamped this brown butcher paper with a to from stamp that I have, and so I thought that would be cute to put in the front pocket so that whoever buys this journal will can say who they're gifting it to. So let's go ahead and stick that down. I've already sewed all the elements and inked around the edges, so hopefully this goes quickly. Make sure I got that on there straight. Then I'm just going to use some of this sari silk, and this is actually where it was joined with some sewing, so I decided to include that piece for some visual interest. So I'm just gonna stick that down kind of willy-nilly with a little bit of dimension to it. I chose number 25, and just gonna glue that on top of the sari silk here. Gonna just push that down for a moment and let everything adhere. Okay, and then we're going to put our to and from behind here. Next page, I think I'm going to take some of my snippet strip and measure a little piece here. I think I'm going to include the North Pole. See here, that would look pretty nice. Just trying to decide how it would look best. I think this is one of those instances where you should probably cut it upside down so that it doesn't prevent you from cutting into it. Okay, here we go. Ah! Okay, it was a little crooked of a cut there, so I'm just going to do that one more time. I'm using my sewing scissors here so they're nice and sharp. Okay, good, we did it. It's a little difficult to sew, or to cut into it rather. Okay, that looks great. So I think I'm going to put that there. And I didn't ink up the edges of my paper before I glued everything down, thinking that it wouldn't show, but it does a little bit, so I'm just gonna grunge that up a little bit, like so. I did actually do it on the first one, and then I didn't see the edges, so I thought, well, I'm not gonna waste my time doing that, but now I can see it on these second two, so there we go. That's so pretty just by itself. It's almost a shame to cover any of it. Maybe put it sideways so we can see. I think I'm going to try to cut this down a little bit so that you can see more of the snippet roll behind it. I had already inked and distressed these edges too. They were already distressed, as you can see, so now I'm gonna need to do that again. No big deal. And I do have a distress tool, but you can also just use your scissors like so. Beat it up a little bit, make it look like it's really from the 1800s there. And then I'm going to go back over it again with the distress ink because I lost that when I cut it down. But I think it's all going to be worth it because we can see more of the backing there. Okay, that looks really nice, I think. Should we center it? Yes, I think so. And then do we want a sentiment here? Maybe I'll put the sentiment on this side and leave this one just like this. Oh, so fun. See? I try to clean as I go from my chef days. Like to keep a clean workstation, but it's not always the easiest thing, is it? Having a hard time deciding. This is one of the reasons that I struggle to make videos, because it takes me a long time usually to decide what I want to do. I'll just have to go for it, won't I? Don't fuss over it. What should I do? What should I do? Well, I definitely know that I want these glued down on the page, so let's start there. Try to pull some of that gold out. Don't want to lose all of it. Okay, just pushing all that down, make sure it adheres well. Now, where were we? Sort of looks like a present like that. I think I like it like that. I'm just going to have to commit, you guys. Oh, here we go, avalanche of glue again. I'm gonna put this down kind of low here. That way we can fit the tag at the top, and I'm just gonna glue the center of the tag so that there's a little dimension there as well. Okay, what do we think? First couple pages complete. I'm gonna give this a moment to dry and then we'll move on. Okay, moving on to my next page. This is what I came up with. I grabbed some of that reindeer moss I showed you, and I'm just gonna glue all of these elements down. This is a Christmas tree page. One of my friends, Emma Parrish, said something to the effect of, "We're all knee-deep in tinsel," and that just made me laugh so much, so I went ahead and made a sentiment that said that. I've never heard that before, and it was so funny to me. Emma, you crack me up. So I'm just gonna get all these elements glued down. I'm using some of that homemade stamped plaid that I made here, and I'm trying not to cover up all of the nice grungy elements that I laid down already, including the stitching and the binding, the tab binding. Just gonna press that down firmly, and then next I've got this picture of a Christmas tree in a Victorian parlor. I'm gonna put that down. Try not to get my loose threads glued down. That adds to the grungy factor, I think. Okay, and then I have this Tim Holtz die from the Thinlits, and then I'm just gonna glue down some of this reindeer moss here. I want it peeking out from behind my sentiment, my funny sentiment. Okay, something like that. And push this down. I'm going to try to move this a little bit further up so you can see a little bit more of it. There we go. Okay, that's cute. So here's that page complete. I'm going to do the next page. All right. Okay, so I've got my embossing supplies. You just need this embossing ink pad. I've got a snowflake stamp and some super bright white extra fine embossing powder. Wait till you guys see my gigantic heat gun. It's actually one of my husband's tools. I totally stole it from him. And just going to dump some of this on here. Shake off the excess, and that's super pretty. Then you do it over a paper so you can just pour it back in and there's no waste. I'm going to try to hurry here so that I can do them all at the same time. Okay, there we go. That one got messed up a little bit, so I'm going to see if I can redo it. Wonder if that's possible. We'll find out together. Okay, that didn't work out too great, so I'm going to try to scrape it off. Try again. Okay, that didn't go quite as planned. As you can see, it's a little wonky, but I'm just gonna go with it. You can always cover up your mistakes in paper crafting with something else. So try not to fret too much and just go with the flow. Are you ready to see this monster heat gun? Busting out the big guns, literally. Okay. I set it in a big tin can so it can cool down, and then I think that turned out pretty nicely. Like I said, this one snowflake got a little messed up, but we can always cover it with something else and maybe put a button on top of it or something. I want to include some buttons in this project. Okay, so there's one idea, and this flap is coming up a little bit, so while I'm here I'm going to just glue that back down. Okay, moving on to the next page. In the freebie that I am giving you guys, there's a cool ruler that I decorated with some Christmas patterned paper behind it. So I think I'm going to use that as a belly band here on this page, and then I'm going to include behind it this envelope that I purchased. It's super cute. It says inspected by elf number 25, and it's a little policy document envelope, and we can put something inside here. Let's see. We'll put in some of these Christmas ephemera. Those will fit inside perfectly. And then just close up this policy document. I'm not sure where I got these. I think I got them at Walmart, but it's been several years. I'm not really sure, but I think I was at the store recently and saw some similar ones there. So if you just look where the Christmas tags are, you should be able to find those. Christmas section. So for a belly band, of course, you're just going to glue the top and the bottom only, so you can slide something behind there. And this actually fits pretty perfectly. Okay, and then we're just gonna slide our little parcel under here. Hopefully that stays. And I have this adorable little bulldog clip that I can use at the top of this page here to hold that in place. Oh, that's so cute. I love it. Maybe put a Christmas tree over that wonky one. I've got some pretty burlap here. Let's see which burlap we like better. That looks pretty nice. I think I like this one better though. Okie dokie. And we definitely need our reindeer. And Mrs. Claus still. Just reaching into my ephemera tin here to see which one we'll choose. Okay, I've got this reindeer, and Mrs. Claus has a present, so let's see. I think since we've got this outdoor scene over here with the trees and the snow, I'm going to put the reindeer opposite that. And then we could just cover up half of the snowflake, the half that doesn't look so great. I usually just play around with the elements until I find something that I find visually appealing. And sometimes that happens quickly and sometimes it takes a really long time. And if you're the same, I would encourage you to even start working on a different page if it just doesn't look right and you can't seem to figure it out. Walk away from that one and go do something else and then come back to it. Even flipping to a new page in this project helps keep the momentum of the project going when you're not able to figure out that one element yet. But I like the way this looks, so I'm going to go ahead and glue all that down. Gonna go with the reindeer and the burlap on one side, and I grunged up that Christmas tree a little bit for the other. So this is kind of an outdoor scene. Oops. There goes my volcanic Fabri-Tac again. I was thinking about it. How I combat that usually is to squeeze it and keep it down inside, but it's turning into a volcano now. Ooh, that was lucky. That landed face up instead of down. That never happens. Today's my lucky day. There it was. There's like an air bubble in there. And I've got far too much glue on the back of this, so I'm just going to wipe a little bit off there and glue that down as well. Okay, sticky fingers cleaned up. This is what we've got for this page. Should we put a sentiment? Joy to the world, wonderful life. Christmas tree, Santa Claus, spirit. How about reindeer? Yeah, I've got some sort of holly looking Christmassy fabric here. I'm just gonna try to tear it. I don't know if it will tear. Oh, all right. Tears really well. I have to be careful. I hit my light. I'm so clumsy, sorry. Okay, let's see, how does this look? I think I'll trim it down a little bit, grunge it up a little bit here, fray the edges more. That's what I was looking for. Should we put it on the opposite side so that it looks like a full scene? These are the questions I ask myself. I like the way that looks, so I'm going to glue that down there at the bottom. And try to suck up the Fabri-Tac back into the bottle so that it doesn't spit out everywhere again on us. A little dab will do ya. Alrighty, there we go. I'll say that's finished. On to the next page, some gumdrops. I think that's a really good place for Mrs. Claus, since she's baking goodies in the kitchen and giving presents. I'm just looking at some of the sentiments here and seeing if any of these resonate with the feeling I'm trying to create on the page. The spirit of giving and joyfulness, tradition, memories, hope, wonderful life. Let's see if we should put something behind the photo here. That looks very nice. I think I'm going to go with that. Again, trying not to cover up all the stitching I worked so hard to create. And then put this sentiment here, I think. I love this ribbon here, or lace, that has the little holes in it. It's really pretty. Okay, and glue this down as well. And glue this down here. And I use baby wipes to clean my hands and my glue bottle. A couple times I've just replaced the lid on these bottles while there's glue there, and then this whole tip has ripped off. And that's not good, so I always clean it off now. If it gets goopy, just use it for all kinds of things. Baby wipes are a must-have in my opinion. Get this extra glue off the page so the pages don't stick together. Okay, and just make sure that that is adhered down. The great thing about this is you can flip it so that you can push down on the tabletop, because it's such a floppy binding method that you can turn the page this way. Just get everything adhered down nicely. So that's our Mrs. Claus page. Really like that. And we've got 1 page, 2, 3 pages to go. Let's see. This has holly here and here. So like this one, and then something like this. No, maybe a bow. Nope, just gonna have this by itself, I think. There we go. Okay. Probably just going to use a really small piece of this. Well, let's see. Maybe it could go behind. No, just a small piece for the front of the pocket. I like having it up on the page a little bit so that I can still see the holly on the page at the bottom. And then it just sort of ties everything together. And I've got to use this one on this page, haven't I? It says, "I'm holly jolly." That looks cute. I think I'll go with that. Okay. There's our holly page. I think that turned out pretty cute. Okay, and I'm just going to place a store-bought tag in this pocket that I grunged up a little bit. There we go. And the last 2 pages. Okay, I've got some papers here, just some textiles, some handmade paper that I really enjoy. And then I've also got some antique sheet music. This one is Joy to the World, the Lord is Come. So I think that would be fitting for Christmas time. After all. Alrighty. I definitely want to get the majority of the words in if I can fit them. It's so brittle, it's tearing very easily here. Okay, hopefully that works. Please fit. Oh, I'm gonna have to tear some off the side here. Oh, just barely. I think a little bit more over here. Whew, did it. Okay, and then use some of this green tinsel paper and some of this speckled red tissue-like paper. Textiles are my favorite part of junk journal making. Having that physical element, the texture, just is my favorite. Okay, so probably gonna just put that behind like so, maybe red on the top and green on the bottom. And then maybe a pretty bow like that. I'm gonna delicately try to ink the edges of this paper without breaking it, hopefully. It's very brittle, so I'm going to glue it down entirely and give it new life. That's another aspect of this craft that I love so much, is using things that were forgotten or discarded or not important to people anymore and bringing new life to them and creating art with them. That's so fulfilling and rewarding. I have always been attracted to bygone eras. And now I get to live my dream of playing with those elements to create my art. All right, let's do this first here. I'm very pleased with how this is turning out. It's even better than I had imagined. Most of the time when I'm making something, I have no idea what's going to happen. I just go with it and experiment and play, and I try not to think too much about it. I just work really intuitively. This one I did have an idea in my head, but I'm really liking how it's turning out. Okay, and I think I'll try to use this instead. So although plastic definitely wasn't around at the time, I think we can put something peeking behind this. And it's just too fun not to use it. Make a pocket out of it. So I'm just using an extra tag from the kit to size this pocket down here. So that it will fit like so. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try using some double-sided tape to stick it down because I don't want to run it through the sewing machine. And a trick that I learned is that you can use a acrylic block to cut the double-sided tape. Helpful trick. Hopefully this isn't too noticeable as the adhesive. It might be, but that's okay. And I'm only going to go around 3 sides because I want it to be a pocket. Like so. Just peel off the sticker here and stick it down. And we should be good to go. Line it up with those cuts that I made. Stick it down. You could also put a notch there if you wanted. That would probably be a good idea. And just making sure that it's not sticking out the side too much. Looks good. And I'm pretty happy with the amount of adhesive that's showing through. It's not too much. You can see it a little bit, but so I did want to stick down another sentiment on the other side. This is for the spirit of Christmas, the spirit of the Lord. Something to be thankful for. And there we go. And then I found one for this side, Joy to the World, so it matches what I stuck down on the opposite side. So I have this gold flecked paper, like, I don't even know what this is. It's really pretty though. And then a little bit of white cheesecloth. And the sentiment, like so. And then I was thinking about putting a dimensional snowflake or two. There we go. Alright. And this is what I came up with for the last spread. Oh, we do need to put something behind the pocket. I have these Mondo tag punches that come in really handy. So I'm just using a tag from the kit and I'm just gonna punch it a little bit smaller. And it's nice because there's a window so you can see what you're getting. And then instant tag, voila, and it fits in the pocket. I do love punches, I gotta say. So then let's decorate this tag a little bit before we put it behind the window pocket. Ink it up a little bit, and let's see. How about the children with Santa? Or maybe Santa and the Christmas tree? Or we could just put a little collection back there so the person who purchases the journal can decorate further. This is another store-bought tag. I really like it. Simple and fits this journal perfectly, I think. So put those in there, and there's a little surprise. All right, that is this journal. Thank you so much for joining me today and taking the time out of your day to craft with me. I'm so grateful that you're here, and let me know in the comments what you think about this project and whether you liked it. Show me if you make one too. I would love to see that in the group Petals and Parchment on Facebook, or tag me on Instagram, petals.and.parchment. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day and a happy holiday season. Everyone be safe and enjoy time with friends and loved ones if you're lucky enough to be with them. Thank you. Bye.